God bless you. Great to connect with you for another day, another time. Looking at Ecclesiastes chapter 10. We've got a few more after this one, at least just two more before we complete this great chapter. This particular section here, as we went titled, it says, Plan your work and guard against carelessness. Plan your work and guard against carelessness. And there are some specific occupational hazards that are possible. And even though he makes reference to the kind of work, or he uses occupation that was very much prevalent during his day. But there are some, there are um, some principles that he uses that can be used even in our day and across in our lives. We will be reading these four verses, 8 through to 11. But before I read those four verses, let me um, at least tell you what these five specific occupations, or yeah, five specific occupations and or occupational hazards that are possible and in which we could even look out in whatever occupation that you may have. Whatever it is that you do, you may not be working in a quarry, you may not be a builder, you may be someone such as you may work in banking, you could work in IT, you could be a counselor, you could be a CEO, but there are principles that the wise man Solomon is laying out for all of us, and it would be a wise individual to take heed, at least just to take note of what they are, so that as you live your life, as we live our lives, we will be mindful of these areas. But the five areas that Solomon is pointing out to us is one, plan when digging a hole. Two, plan when demolishing a wall. Three, plan when working in a stone quarry. Four, plan when circumstances and equipment are not perfect. And five, plan when charming a snake. Five areas here. But when you look into these, and I will define each of these five areas as we go into it later on. Let me read verse 8 of the, the 10th chapter of Ecclesiastes. He that diggeth a pit shall fall into it, and whoso breaketh an hedge, a serpent shall bite him. Whoso removeth stones shall be hurt therewith, and he that cleaveth wood shall be endangered thereby. If the iron be blunt, and he do not wet the edge, then must he put to more strength. But wisdom is profitable to direct. Verse 11, surely the serpent will bite without enchantment, and the bladder, or a blabber is no better. Let's read from the Jewish text, verse 8 through to 11. He that digs a pit may fall into it. He who breaks through a wall may be bitten by a snake. He who quarries stones may get hurt by them. He who chops wood puts himself in danger. If the hatchet if the hatchet's iron blade is blunt and its user doesn't sharpen it, he will have to exert more effort. But the expert has the advantage of his skill. Verse 11. If a snake bites before it is charmed, the snake charmer has no advantage. Now, what is Solomon saying here? What is Solomon really saying to us? In verse 8, and in the first half of verse 8 of chapter 10, he says here, let me read from the Jewish text. He that digs a pit may fall into it. So when digging a hole, there is always the danger of falling in. That is what Solomon is saying. What else is he saying? There's a lesson here. It is to be diligent in keeping good records of tasks performed. Yes. That's the obvious lesson here. It is to be diligent. We must plan to be diligent in keeping good records of tasks performed. The second one I will say is plan when demolishing a wall. Here the scenario pictures a man working who is caught by surprise by a snake. Let's read the second part of that verse. He who breaks through a wall may be bitten by a snake. What is Solomon saying? He's saying here that unseen and unanticipated dangers abound, and we must always be vigilant and aware of what is going on around us. Be vigilant. Unseen and unanticipated dangers may abound, and we must be vigilant. Don't be caught out by surprise. Always be aware of what it is that's around you and whatever you're doing. Keep good records. Be vigilant because the unseen things may pop out at you. That snake may jump out and just may bite you unawares. The third area that Solomon here is talking about and wants us to know is plan when working in a stone quarry. Now, what has this got to do with anything? I mean, what it is that you have to do. You may not be working in a stone quarry. You may not be chopping logs or splitting logs at all. But let's read verse 9. He who quarries stones may get hurt by them. He, who chops wood puts himself in danger. What is Solomon saying to them as well as to us today? He's saying that the wise worker will anticipate what could go wrong. He will prepare in advance for the dangers that go along with his task, and he will be particularly careful as he carries out his work. Many accidents occur because people either carelessly or overconfidently do not take preventative measures to avoid them. Okay? He who quarries stones may get hurt by them. Be wise, anticipate what could go wrong. Be prepared in advance for the dangers that go along with the task at hand, and be particularly careful as you carry out your work. In anything that you do, be careful. That's what Solomon is telling you in what you're doing. Be careful. Be careful of the snakes and keep good records, because the unseen and the unanticipated danger or dangers may just come upon you. Yes? Be prepared. The fourth area here, verse 10, we must be prepared when circumstances and equipment are not perfect. Wise planning ensures success. Let's read verse 10 again and let's see what Solomon is saying here. If the hatchet's iron blade is blunt and its user doesn't sharpen it, he will have to exert more effort, but the expert has the advantage of his skill. What is Solomon saying even here to those who were with him or to us in our day and time today? Solomon is only he's just advising us to work smarter, not harder. It makes far greater sense to take time to sharpen your axe than it does to continue working with a dull axe. Work efficiently, and that could be done for anything at all. Work efficiently, use the sharpest and the best suited tools and the most advantageous methods to preserve strength. Yes. Work smarter, not harder. And the fifth point that Solomon is leaving with us in this passage of scripture, or in this for this topic, which again is plan your work and guard against carelessness, is in verse 11, which says, plan when charming a snake. In other words, poor planning risks loss of income and loss of life. What does verse 11 say? If a snake bites before it is charmed, the snake charmer has no advantage. Again, let's ask the question, what is Solomon saying here? Solomon's lesson from this occupation, and this unusual occupation, is that be thorough in your work. Perform it completely and do not take shortcuts. Now, snake charming and charmers, it's as a child growing up in the films that were shown, a snake charmer would either be from the eastern countries, from Middle East or Far East, Turkish or Turkey, as well as in India. You'd find the movies, um, you know, Aladdin, the Arabian Nights, and all of that. Even, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Indiana Jones in one of their movies, you'll find a snake charmer playing a flute-like instrument and a snake coming out of a basket, charming the snake, as they say it would be. But there is something here that Solomon is using as a lesson. The wise man uses the things around him to bring and to drive home lessons, isn't it? So here, Solomon is saying here that we must be thorough in what we are doing because the snake will bite. If the snake bites before it's charmed, the snake charmer has no advantage. So we need to be thorough in what we do, be thorough in what you do, perform your tasks completely. Don't take shortcuts. Snake charming was a popular form of entertainment in the East, though to much lesser degree than today. In an effort to collect as much money as possible from as many people as possible, snake charmers would sometimes rush their shows, getting bitten before the snake was fully charmed. This was dangerous, even deadly and unprofitable, as the crowd would not pay for a show they did not get to see or one that was not completed. Solomon is teaching a lesson. While it is wise to accomplish each task as rapidly as possible, it is unwise to be too hasty and not allow the necessary time and energy to perform each task well and completely. Let's listen. Let's read. Let us listen to what the scriptures are saying to us because they are there to help us. Whether it is Ecclesiastes, whether it be Ezekiel, whether it be Amos, Obadiah, whether it be the Psalms, or whether it be any of the Pauline epistles in the Gospels there. It is there, they are there to help us to look at ourselves. Let's not rush the process. Let's not take shortcuts in whatever we are doing for the Lord, or let us not rush God and and be forcing Him. But we can't force His hand, but you understand what I'm saying. Sometimes we want God to take shortcuts in our lives. God is not going to do that. God's process may be sure, may be slow, but it is sure. And so, as you and I, as we stay firmly in the very presence of God, firmly and rooted in His Word, then we need to allow His Word really to take the necessary steps and to take the time to prepare our lives for Him to do the work through us. God bless you. Thank you so much for connecting with us again. And we'll be doing the last two sessions in relation to this chapter 10. I trust and I hope it's been a blessing. I trust and hope it's been a great blessing. It has to me. And I want to be a better man. I want to be a better husband, father, servant. I want to be able to serve the people of God. Yes, and we have all made mistakes. I have probably made grave mistakes, but I believe that God, again, when He has His hand on any one of us, wanting us to complete any desired program that He has set us to complete, I believe that we will complete it and do it according to how God wants us to do it if we allow Him to. So may God bless you. Have a great day and stay firmly in His will.